We are so happy today because like our favorite people in the world have all shown up together at one time. It's Illiterate Light, Devon Gilfillian, of course, Jeff Gorman and Jake Cochran of Illiterate Light. And like, if you happen to be listening to this on the radio, go over and watch the video on the website because we are actually joined by robot versions of a couple of the guys here today. So that's all good. We'll get into the whole robot thing a little bit later. I do want to say that the song Freedom is a great song. We're going to talk about that as well. But I want to start off talking about press releases because I'm really convinced that nobody reads them other than me. And I've seen interviews with you guys, and I'm going to read you a line from the press release. There was plenty of goofing off, nudity, singing and dancing, and general shenanigans. And in all the interviews that I read leading up to this, nobody followed up on the nudity thing. So I think that my first question is, what?
Yeah, well, we know you're one of the few that actually reads them too. We were all just sitting around eating lunch, and we were all like, yeah, talking about Kansas City, and we we're like, man, we did this great interview with John there like a couple years ago. It was like the questions he was asking us, it was like he actually did some homework on us, and it made us feel so comfortable and so at home to be able to expand on these things we want to talk about. So I think
so if other bands are listening, praising the host is one way to get past answering the question about nudity.
No, we're ready to dive in here. So we in the midst of COVID, we had a chance to write and record this song pretty much separately. Like all of the pieces were done individually, recorded. Some of it was Jeff and I, a demo session that we did 6 months prior, not even thinking about this being a song together. And then when we were going to get together right with Devon, COVID hit and that all got canceled, and we just had to put together a song from pieces and then overdub. So the finished product of Freedom, we had actually never played together. And the first time that we saw each other after recording it and mixing it, Jeff had come to Nashville to do a little writing session for the two of us. And we had all just gotten tested. And we're like, all right, we got to do a photo shoot for Freedom. And we go over to John's house, Devon's manager and drummer John, and a friend is our photographer and just doing us a favor. And I think I proposed the idea that Jeff, Devon, and I should each take a 7-minute shot at being the director for the photo shoot. And I said, Devon, you're first. You're in charge. Lighting, whatever. Give us direction. Devon said, strip.
I pulled out a bottle of whiskey.
Yeah, pull that out.
I'm always the one who just has to take it to the weird, freaky level. You know what I mean? And it wasn't sexual. It was just a couple naked guy friends hanging out and having a drink and taking some pictures. Weird.
This surprises me a little bit because when we talked to Devon in the studio, I asked him if we could see the guitar tattoo on his back, and he
That's right, you did.
Right. There was the album art we landed on, the single art for Freedom, is a really cool collage from some of the pictures we took that day that Devon and I worked on together. And the other option for the single art, which Devon and I were strong proponents of, and there were some team members of ours. Jeff was into it, but there was some pushback because it was a bright and shining, very direct picture of the three of our butts smashed right next to each other, and
it would have been so good, John. You would have loved it.
You would have gotten a full tattoo in all its glory.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll come out on the special edition release, when this song goes to #1 and everybody's just asking for the butts.
There you go. I have to say that when the song first came in, it was like kind of surprising. You guys, I hadn't made any connection between Illiterate Light and Devon Gilfillian, and you guys are on different labels, so this wasn't like an arranged marriage.
No, it wasn't. It was so organic, and I didn't mean to interrupt you. I don't know if you were going to ask a question, but yeah, we just kept bumping into each other in the festival circuits, and
I guess that my first question was that Devin, you met Jake first, and
I
you
did.
met him at the Oyster Bar at Newport Folk Festival, right?
Really had that press
Which like the thing that's shocking to me about that is like an oyster bar, at craft services. I mean, like that doesn't happen, right?
Yeah.
Like mind blown that anybody would have oysters backstage.
Oh no! Well, that was at Newport Folk Festival, of
Yeah.
course. And I just saw. I was like going by the oysters, and then I just didn't even really know who Jake was at the time. Like we just like started chatting or whatever, because we were talking to my friend Mia or whatever.
Mm.
And
our bands played at Newport, and our sets were at the exact same time. So like I had known of Devin from when he had toured through Harrisonburg and played like some of the little venues in our area. I'd always heard his name. I had friends who were like, you got to check this guy out. And then our sets were at the exact same time. So at some point, we're at this oyster bar, and I turn around and I see a bunch of cool looking guys, and I see Devin. I'm like, I think I know who that guy is.
We've since then put oysters on our rider, and I mean, you could have seen the look they gave us at Record Bar when we showed up last year. They didn't even want to have us that night, but it's how it goes sometimes.
Yeah. So then a couple of weeks later or somewhere like that, Jeff, you actually ended up meeting Devin as well in Knoxville.
Yeah, Second Bell Festival.
Yeah.
And I guess that, it's sort of like, I'm kind of like, I wish I'd been there, fly on the wall. That would have been so much fun. But I started thinking, okay, well, what are you bonding over? And I don't know if this has anything to do with anything, but all three of you seem to have real affection for music that was created before you were born.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
I think right away, when I remember going up on stage with you guys after that Second Bell show, and you're just tearing down, and I could just tell everybody was just gentle souls and real music lovers, and it was just kind of like just one of those things where right away we're just talking about artists that we love, and we both, and I listen to modern music, but it's really the 60s, 70s, even country from the 50s, but like soul and rock of the 60s and 70s is like the heartbeat of what I grew up on, and we immediately bonded over that.
Absolutely. I mean, I remember listening at Second Bell Fest, like hearing them play across the yard, across the field, and I was like, yes, like this is rock and roll. Like I remember thinking, like, man, no one plays rock and roll the way it should be played, and I saw two people. I was like, I honestly thought you guys had more people. I thought they had more people in the band. I thought that, like it wasn't just the two of them. And I look across, it was just you guys, and I was like, dang, they're making all that sound with just them.
It's a funny visual, because this festival, it's a new kind of still growing festival in Knoxville, Tennessee, and it was set up on like a flat piece of grass that was basically football field size, and two stages on either end pointing at each other. It felt very Battle of the Bands.
It totally did.
And so like Jeff and I are setting up. We know Devin's like the headliner playing after us on the across the thing. As soon as our set ends, the crowd turns around and walks over to that set. And so we're like, all right, well, we gotta rock hard. Like we can't lose this Battle of the Bands.
It was great.
And no, it was awesome. And then immediately, like we finish and I like jump down and just oogle the set as they blast into their set. Pretty incredible.
Yeah. So just the oddity of routing, you guys keep bumping into each other. And eventually you all decide, well, let's just make this official and tour together. And there were actually plans to go and collaborate around this song before COVID to help out with that co-headline tour, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. We would have been doing a national tour in September through November of 2020. Yeah, that was the plan. And so the plan was, all right, we're going to headline together, and hit and support each other at the end of the year, or co-headline. And then this summer we'll do a tune together. And then just, within about a week, the whole world kind of shut down. But we just wanted we wanted to try something, and we wanted to stay creative. And so we just started doing this. and jumped on Zoom and said, let's make some noise from our home studios and see if we can come up with something cool. It was the first time we'd ever worked that way.
Our guests today on the bridge are Jake Cochran, Robot Jeff Gorman, and Robot Devon Gilfillian. And they have a new song out called Freedom, which is absolutely spectacular. The writing of the song, Jeff, actually started with you on your mom's piano on Christmas Day.
That's right. Yeah. 2018 actually was when I just remember sitting down and banging out some chords. And it's one of those things I was a history major when I was in college, and I love archiving things and just having records and being almost kind of overly meticulous about it. And we have so many songs where it's a riff that has sat on, not on the shelf, but it's something that happened 6 years prior. And then it just, I was just cracking up. I was thinking, like, the song was written, December of 2018, started to be recorded a little bit in December of 2019. Most of it was created and tracked in 2020, and then it came out in, when did the song come out?
Yeah.
It came out in November of 2020.
Yeah. Where are we? What month is it?
Is it last March? March is coming up. Is it?
You can see why I didn't stick with the history thing. I just lose the plot at some point.
We've all been snowed in Nashville for the last week, and there's a 4-inch layer of ice on all of our neighborhood roads, so nobody's going anywhere. We've lost track of reality.
We've all been stuck in March of 2020 just for the.
I've been sitting here for a full year. It does kind of feel like that, actually.
Right?
Yeah. So I know this is probably pretty sensitive, Jeff, and I hope you don't mind me asking, but lyrically, the song Freedom, you were really thinking about your dad when you started this.
Yeah. That when it started to come to life, just the chorus kind of popped out at a writing session in December of 2019. And my dad had actually just passed away about a month ago.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And he dealt with a disease called MSA, which for folks listening is kind of similar to ALS. You lose bodily function and you lose cognitive function as well. And he was a really active father. We had a really great relationship going up, and it was really, really painful and hard to watch a lot of those abilities and his life force kind of be slowly taken away from him. And we just had this one night after tour in December of 2019 where I just pulled out my phone and was looking for some sort of phone memo, and I found those chords. I was like, oh, this is really cool. And I just started kind of crying out just freedom while singing by myself and just thinking about him walking again, because he had been stuck. He had been in a wheelchair for 4 or 5 years at that point, and just imagining him being healed and being able to walk. And yeah. That was the heartbeat of the song, It was just that yearning for freedom and can you take me there? And it just felt like the right song to bring to life with Devon, who for Jake and I is a fun beacon of light and beacon of hope, and somebody that is going to know what that pain is like, but also know how to walk through that with us. And I'm just so,
and first of all, thank you so much for sharing that, because I know it's raw and all of that. I've lost both of my parents, and I can tell you, I'm sure you've probably already experienced this, but I got one on one shoulder, one on the shoulder, and they talk to me all the time. They never left in a certain way.
No, definitely.
And so I do really appreciate your openness, though. I'm also really fascinated by language and the way that the song started with that very specific inspiration and grew to be so all-encompassing. And of course, the old trope of the fact that the listener who hears this song gets to really finish it in their own head.
Yeah.
The inspiration, like when Devon, when you started working on the song, you were actually inspired to write because you'd recently fallen in love.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. And I was in a relationship at the time, and I was in love, and
just the use of the word love in a like with the word was makes
yeah.
me feel like I've walked into another downer.
Well, no, you know, honestly, it's you fall in love and then you fall out of love, and but I think when you fall in love, there is a sense of freedom that you feel around someone that you fall in love with, because you fall in love because you can be the best version of yourself, the truest, most authentic version of yourself, and that's when you find that person, there is that feeling of freedom, and that's the emotion that I was trying to describe in that portion, you know.
Yeah, and it's so funny, you know, we have the word love, but that word means a whole like different thing based on where you are. Like if it's closing time at the bar on Saturday night, or sitting in the church pew the following morning,
Yeah,
that word love is, man, it's a different, you know,
yeah.
all over.
so contextual. So really, honestly, freedom, and I, you know, it's like you guys can answer, not answer, but what this song meant to you by the time that it was finished, you know, and what's the message that you're trying to get across? Because in many ways, it does feel like a song that's intended to be a really special thing for the times that we're living in. That's how it feels to me.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and in a lot of ways, it's because it's coming from some different places, and we did kind of try to look for these themes that would come together in the chorus of freedom, and in a lot of ways it's a song of celebration, even though it's a pretty dark, weird time that we were all going through and still are, looking for a reason to celebrate, to party, to have an upbeat song that's, you know, we had never played it. Like we did a live stream together a few months ago and got together to rehearse it, and it was the first time we'd ever played the song together, and we all kind of looked at each other like, I don't even know if I know my parts. Like I don't like. I think we kind of like patched it all together, and then like playing it for the first time and having the sort of like, okay, yeah, the lived experience of the lyrics in that moment felt like, okay, it's all coming together from these different perspectives, different types of freedom. What it means to me is probably different to each of us, but there's this really ecstatic celebration that comes through. And that's really I think the overarching feeling that we're at least excited to capture.
Yeah, and to add to that, it's just like, I feel like this year, you know, has been such a challenge in so many ways for so many people, and you know, for everybody, and in order to overcome, you know, I feel like we've overcome a lot of challenges this year, and to get through that is the freedom that we're wanting to celebrate. And yeah, like honestly, in November, November 8th came around, or like I guess a week or so after, there was a lot of freedom to celebrate, and yeah, that's a big part of it for sure.
Yeah, I'll just finish up as far as where does it stand for us at this point, or freedom at this point. But there is, you know, I really felt like, and this is just my personal, you know, experience of it, but I was happy this song came out right after the election. We didn't know what was going to happen with that, and I have no trouble speaking politically or politicizing things that should be politicized. But I didn't feel like this song wanted to go in that direction because it felt a little more in the heart for me. But I will say that since the inauguration, I mean, I just remember watching Amanda Gorman speak, who, you know, everybody asked, but we're not related. I remember watching her and just feeling this cloud of darkness starting to lift from my own experience of the news cycle and our culture from the last 4 years. And I was just like, this is kind of a hallelujah moment for me. And this song it feels like taking a big breath of fresh air and welcoming, something new and entering that in a grounded way.
Absolutely.
Our guests today are Jeff Gorman and Jake Cochran of Illiterate Light and Devon Gilfillian, talking about their new song Freedom, which is just really great. So the Zoom meetings, how awkward was that? I mean, it was like, did it change your process?
Well, Jake wasn't wearing pants the whole time, so that
I'm still not.
It made it really awkward whenever he would stand up and go to the bathroom.
That's one of my Zoom things is no pants. It makes me comfortable.
We've gotten way more comfortable with the Zooms since then. But even, I feel like an old man sometimes in that, like, even like FaceTiming prior to the pandemic, I would be like, what do you do? Like, I can't do this, like it would really throw me off. And now it doesn't. I mean, I've just I've Zoomed so much that it feels more natural. But you're right, John, that when it first started, it was just kind of like, I'm trying to be creative here. I'm trying to throw out ideas and be vulnerable. And when you're in a room with somebody, you get that body language and that energy and you're all experiencing something. It's really easy to connect in that way. And there was just 800 miles between us when we first started this thing. I think the fact that we started with something that I wrote on keys and we had the synth bass and the drums, it just felt groovy off the bat. Oh, yeah. We had a pretty solid foundation to just you never felt stale or bored or anything. It was like the essential ingredients to get this thing cooking is here.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, Jeff, Jeff sent me like a whole folder full of, or maybe it was Jake, I don't know, but they sent me a folder full of all of these songs that they were working on. And I kind of went through and I found Freedom, and I was just like, and the synth bass was there, the keys and all that stuff. And I was like, let's go. I was like, this is where we need to, this is the one that we need to finish. and it honestly, like, as like goofy as the Zoom rights are sometimes, like where there's like Jeff and Jake were saying, I got used to them too. And that was like one of the first ones that I ever did. And it was like, I felt like we got in the groove pretty quickly. And of course, like, we'd rather be in the room together because that's the magic. But we found, luckily Jeff and Jake had some magic going. And then I just came in and I was like, oh, okay, I got some chocolate sprinkles for that.
we were glad for the chocolate sprinkles.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. The track, the basic tracks of it that we had recorded the one day when Jeff brought the song, we had kind of jammed on it a couple times, but one day most of what you're hearing was just like the second time we played it, just like, all right, Jeff, you get on your knees and play this bass line with your hands with your weird foot pedal thing, and I'm gonna just play like a really fun drum beat. And we just kind of did that over some piano that Jeff had looped. And after we did it, we sat back, this is 2019, we sat back and listened to it and we're like, that's super cool. And what on earth does it have to do with us?
Yeah, I don't know. How Illiterate Light fits into that, I don't know, but I like that.
Yeah, we just kind of said it's important, and then we just moved on. And so, yeah.
So you all recorded your own parts in home studios?
We had done, just for some clarity, in December of 2019, we basically had we had a keyboard part, a synth bass part, and a drum part that Jake and I had done together, which was just the essential bones of it. That's everything beyond that we did at our own spots. There's a bunch of other keyboard parts, guitar stuff, vocals, percussion, a ton of other things that got dumped on in our home studios.
So I think that, we've kept people, who are watching this with one essential question that's been unanswered. and that, of course, is like, what's up with the suits?
I didn't know where this question was going to go. Any sort of build up like that, I'm just on it. what is up with the suits? We haven't even talked about it. I mean, we talked about it, but like.
Well, I guess like as far as so obviously, me and Jeff are part robot. His great grandfather was a robot. My great grandfather was a robot.
They got together.
Yeah.
Robots are weird. But works different.
For our music video, we decided, hey, let's take our human skin off and show the world our who we are, and we wanted the video. As you guys could probably explain it better.
Well, that's where it all started, was that every music video we do with we're really proud of our hometown, Harrisonburg, Virginia. It's a great college arts town in the Shenandoah Valley. It's a couple hours outside DC, and it's really cool and fun and eclectic. And every music video that we do, whether it's live or an official video, is with our friends Pat and Alex. They produce and help us write and vision everything. And we brought them in for freedom. And we had the limitations of the pandemic and COVID and a quick turnaround and trying to figure out what we were going to do. And so we knew off the bat it was just going to be the three of us. There weren't going to be other people. For some reason, we started off with this idea of robo tripping. We is what we kept calling it. We kept talking about these robots that are trying to leave society. Or leave their mundane robotic world and find basically nature and freedom and go on this journey together.
The Pinocchio story.
Exactly. And to be honest, we didn't have enough. These were really hard. We're only wearing half of the suit right now. We're missing a bunch.
Don't stand up.
You don't want to see my robot ass, I'll tell you. But anyways, we actually didn't have enough time we thought maybe we'll do 3 suits, but every suit was custom made and we didn't have enough time to make a third one. So we kind of switched the narrative, and it was like, well, who's going to be human? What's their plot and storyline going to be? And so Jake took that on himself and kind of created this juxtaposition where we're these robots that are trying to eventually just get to the coast and see the ocean and, find freedom. And Jake is the human, that comes along with us, that at certain points his humanity catches up with him and he, passes out on the beach and we have to kind of save him and help him out. And so it was just a really fun time.
It's a joyful, video, which is funny given the fact that 2 of you are robots in it.
That's I think the idea we were hoping to get across is just this, like a really pretty straightforward story or whatever. And like, there's not a lot of hidden images or ideas. It's just like there's some robots and a guy that are trying to get to the beach. We're 6 months into the pandemic. We want to just go to the beach secretly, and if we can find some project to take us there, we'll be very happy. We were like, oh, okay, what's our budget for this? Okay, what's the best beach we can get to?
Yeah, like how much is an Airbnb in North Carolina and the Outer Banks? Let's go.
The song is Freedom, and it's really great. You need to catch the video, and of course, it's streaming everywhere. One last question for all of you before you go. Illiterate Light, self-titled album. Since then, you have done a live project called In the Moment. And Devon, you have been, of course, doing a lot of music, a lot of covers projects. You started off with your Black Hole Rainbow album and then went on to the What's Going On, covering Marvin Gaye with a host of other people. But we're all waiting for the second album from each of you. And so how is that coming?
It's in process.
It's going great, to be honest. Yeah, we're sitting right now in Jake's studio in his backyard in Nashville, and I'm out here for about 2 months. We're writing a ton. We've probably got 40 or 50 pretty fleshed out songs that we're really sifting through for this record, and it's feeling really good. I mean, I think we're breaking into some new ground, but it still feels very rock. It still feels very raw. And there's definitely a darkness that is kind of in the record, that things that have come up throughout the pandemic, things that were coming up throughout the Trump, presidency, and that are still kind of lingering on. And so I think there's a little bit of a heaviness and a darkness, and I'm not really saying that we're we're you know, figuring out what the bright side of it is yet. It's just it's heavy. There's some, you know, yesterday we were working on a song called Jump Shot, which is a song about my dad passing away. He was a basketball player back in the 70s. And so we're kind of going for it with, you know, what has been coming up for us and the anxiety that people have been feeling at this time, and just channeling all of that into our music and in our art, and finding a release for all of that in a really healthy and, you know, rock and roll sort of way. But our record's coming along great. We're really excited about it.
Cool. How about you, Devon?
Man, oh God, it's so, I don't know how to follow all that, but
Well, I think you can follow it
excited.
given the fact that you're a Grammy nominated artist at this point.
Oh man, oh
Shouldn't
gosh.
be hard.
Stop making me blush over here, right? Oh God.
You're turning all orange.
You know, as far as the second record goes, I'm definitely in the writing process now, and you know, obviously, like, I'm feeling very inspired this year, like just learning all those Marvin Gaye songs, learning all of what's going on, and diving more into Marvin's like I Want You record, and then like really like you know, if I could do anything, I mean, this year really made me see why I'm doing this, why I'm playing music, and you know, what is my purpose, what is our purpose here, and that's why I think that What's Going On is the #1 record on Rolling Stone, because to me our purpose is to heal the world, and to obviously like be authentic and true, and take in whatever's happening and funnel that through ourselves, reflect it to y'all, to the world, and that's, you know, through healing myself, and I can do that for everyone. But I think that, you know, I want to take I Want You, and I want to take What's Going On, and I want to put them together, and I want people to make love, and I want people to be aware of what's going on in the world, and that's kind of the message that I want to bring. But I'm in the process of figuring out how to say that. But like probably like next.
I've got that on tape if you want to just use that.
Add some auto tune to it, put a rhythm to it, and you're good.
Some auto tune. Yeah.
Our guests today are Jeff Gorman, Jake Cochran of Illiterate Light, and Devon Gilfillian, the new song Freedom. People need to check out the song. People need to check out the video. It's so much fun to hear you guys together. Thanks so much for doing that. And thanks so much for your time today.
Yeah,
John, thanks,
John.
having us.
Thanks to the bridge.
Yeah, we'll see you all soon. Have a good.
Sounds good.
Send it all love.